Hello and welcome back to Trucking with CJ. So today's episode is part 1 of my FIFO experience. When I started editing this, I realized I have too much footage to put into one episode. So we're going to break it down into a couple episodes. And today is all about what to expect if you're looking at getting into FIFO work. So what does a fly-in day look like? What does a campsite look like? The gym, your room, very basic, but I think it's essential information if you're looking at doing this kind of work. So let's get into it. Okay, so fly-in day. I had to fly the day before because I was flying from Interstate, and these are the things that I learned. An airline lounge membership is worth every single cent. Yes, it's expensive, but the amount of hours you're going to spend in these airports, the luxury of being able to go in there, get the free food and all of that is worth every cent. Because I was from Interstate, I had to fly in the day before fly-in day for work. So I would have to get a motel room. I would stay at this motel. It was very close to the airport, and they provided a free shuttle bus in the morning. Then when you got to the small airline that took us to site, it was always really good to see your friends. Then you check your bags in. Please be aware, these airlines do not take much weight, and they're very brutal. If it goes over, they won't take your bags. And sometimes they made me put my stuff in a plastic bag. Made no sense, but whatever. And then it's time to fly to site. When you get to site, you'll collect your bags, and then you'll have to find your teams. The flyout crew would have driven a vehicle to the airport, so you just switch with them. You hop in the vehicle, and then you'll drive it back to camp with your crew. And before you know it, you'll be the shift that's going back to the airport, and that flyout day is so sweet. Some key takeaways for Interstate FIFO people. Remember, not all companies will pay for your flights both ways. You may need to pay for one of them. That can get quite costly. You would need to fly over typically the day before and pay for a motel room to stay in. So you're going to lose a day of your R&R in that. And quite often you'll be coming off of night shifts. So it can sometimes, for me, it was 36 hours awake before I got to sleep again. So these are all things to weigh up. This is a really common question, and one I personally was worried about when I first started FIFO. When you rock up to site, there's going to be a list, and on that list is your name and an allocated room. You'll then go grab your bags from the lockers. Keep in mind, the more you do FIFO, the more stuff you accumulate, and to prevent you having to travel back and forth with those things, you can actually keep them on site in these lockers, which is fantastic. Then you'll go and find your room. Now, these are some photos of some mine sites that I've worked at, some old, some new, but they're all pretty much the same. Dongas, concrete paths, it's pretty standard. I would then take my bags to my room where I'd just leave them for the day, but just setting up a few of my essentials like my pillow and letting my quilt air out. Yes, you heard right. I traveled with my own bedding. There is a reason for this. There is something about having consistency. So having the same pillow, quilt, and sheets as what you do at home if you're sleeping in trucks, if I'm on a mine site. So I always travel with my own bedding, keeps it consistent. Just sleep is so important. So we'll get into that more later. I'd grab my stuff and head to the kitchen where you have a few just bare essentials where you can make a sandwich or make a wrap in this case, grab some fruit, then go fill up my drink bottles. Also, another thing to consider is that on these sites, the water is really filtered. I can't remember the name of what that process is, but a lot of the minerals have been taken out. So quite often you need to add minerals back into your water because in my case, I got quite sick because of that. Then this here is where we had to blow in before every single shift. This is to ensure that you're blowing 0 numbers, so no alcohol in your system. That information goes to the office. You're ticked off for the day. If you do blow numbers, you're stood down. Then off we go to site. We'll get into what a day at work's like later, but let's get back to camp. So this is what a typical room looks like. Some are old, some are new, but they're all pretty much standard the same. You've got a single bed, some cupboards. This is an example, however, of a brand new site, which blew my mind. It felt so much nicer than most of the ones I've been to. Like, you've got a flat screen TV that you could connect via your phone, watch Netflix and things like that. And for me, someone who did a lot of content, having that nice desk space was really lovely. Most mine sites will provide just a standard luxury, so you'll get soap, you'll get fresh towels and fresh bedding. You do have areas that you can put all your bedding, hang some clothes and all of that, which is great, keeps your room nice and organised. And as you saw in the last one, you do have your own ensuite. In most suite, like my understanding is most sites, you have your own ensuite. And while that might seem a bit like basic, it is a luxury. After a big day, going back to your room, you want it to be like your little safe haven. So this is an example of my room now set up. It feels really cozy. And yes, quite often I set up fairy lights. It may seem stupid, but having that nice ambience and not fluorescence is so much better. Okay, let's get to the kitchen. We all love food. So this is an example of breakfast. We've got some hot breakfast. You've got your salads to make your lunches. Having this makes you so lazy. I did FIFO for quite a while, so I was so used to chefs cooking for me, and on my R&R I just go out. So now that I'm not doing it, trying to get used to being in a kitchen and cooking for myself is something that shouldn't be hard, but it is. So really, you're quite spoiled. You've got all your essentials. Nothing's too super flash, but you've got everything that you need, even toasters, and of course, nice little ice cream. This is an example of Australia Day. They, at one of the sites I worked at, yes, they gave us fresh prawns, salmon, oysters. So there are some times where they spoil you. Okay, something to consider is your laundry. So I did carry my own detergents, and that's because I got quite sensitive skin, and the stuff they provide on campsites, um, didn't react well with me. And when you're out there, the last thing you want is any skin irritations. So I carried my own Delicates wash and my own SARDs, which is something I've learned over the years is a fantastic product. This is an example of a really new mine site. It was fantastic, the best one I've been to. So they're not all going to be this flash, but I always put all my work clothes in one, all my high vis, and then all my Delicates in another, and I put them in Delicates bags. This is going to sound absurd, but hear me out. I have heard stories of people stealing women's underwear, so I always would put them in Delicates bags to try and hide them a little bit, and I'd try my hardest to always set a timer so that I was there when I would finish, so I could get it out before anyone could access my clothes. So then grab them, put them in dryer, set your timer again, and come back and collect your clothes. So yeah, pretty simple.
I'll just run you through my toiletries bag. Water out on sites out in the outback, it's hard water and it just destroys your hair. I actually started having excessive hair loss last year. I'd just touch it and I'd have huge handfuls come out, so I had to go through a full treatment plan of scalp oils. But we're on top of that now, and I very rarely wash my hair on site. A night serum leave-in conditioner at night and an oil during the day. Conditions are very harsh on your skin as well. Everything just dries out. Moisturizer day and night. When I go home and break, I refill all these little containers. So buy the reusable ones at home and then put them into these little containers. An eye cream for night. A body butter for after my shower before I go to sleep. Good body wash, cleanser for the shower, just normal really. Lip balms. I have a really good lip balm for night that I sleep in, and I always have some lip balms in my pockets that I use during the day. I carry a small bag of medication that I might need, some migraine medication, steroid creams if I have a skin irritation, because you got to remember there's no access to shops around here, so you want to kind of just have a little minimum amount of everything.
And then the last bit I want to show you about camp is the gym. Most camps have them, some better than others. Some days I just go and just grab my skipping rope and just skip for a while, but just trying to move my body just made such a big difference. I found that when I was really down and out and I'd just go back to my room, it just made me feel so shit. Whereas if I forced myself to go to the gym, lift some weights, skip on my skipping rope, it was great. But coming out of that gym after night shift and you are confronted with that light, oh, she's brutal. Okay guys, we're going to wrap the episode up here. I think that's enough about camp. If you have any more questions, make sure to put them in the comments. In the next episode, I'm going to bring in a lot of my high quality footage from the GoPro and the drone. We'll talk about all the different types of driving you can do, from rigid surface vehicles, water carts, up to the side tip of road trains, and of course my favourite, the loader. I can't wait to show you this footage, so make sure you tune in and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye!